Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to Theology at the Pub. My name's Penny and I'm one of the organisers tonight and I'll also be the MC. Tonight's Theology at the Pub topic is the New Age and the occult, which is an area that is not often spoken about, I don't think, so that's one of the reasons why we've chosen it tonight. And our speaker tonight is Bishop Peter Elliott, who is a hard man to introduce because there's just so much I could mention. After completing a Master of Arts in History at Melbourne University, Bishop Elliott headed to London where he completed a Master of Arts in Theology at Oxford University. It was here at Oxford that he was received into the Catholic Church, being a convert from the Church of England. In 1969, Bishop Elliott returned to Melbourne where he studied for the priesthood at Corpus Christi College. In 1973, he was ordained during the 40th International Eucharistic Congress. In 1986, he completed a doctorate in sacred theology with a thesis on the sacramentality of marriage from the John Paul II Institute for Studies on Marriage and the Family at the Lateran University in Rome. In 1987, he was appointed an official of the Pontifical Council for the Family, and in 1992, he was appointed a chaplain of His Holiness with the title of Monsignor. During 10 years of Vatican service, he travelled extensively and was involved in international courses and conferences, including at the United Nations, looking at the topic of marriage and family on all different continents. At the end of 1997, he returned to Melbourne to become the Episcopal Vicar for Religious Education for the Archdiocese of Melbourne. In 2002, he was appointed a member of the International Commission for Catechetics of the Congregation for the Clergy, and in 2005, an auditor at the Synod of Bishops on the Eucharist. In 2004, Bishop Elliott was named Director of the John Paul II Institute for Marriage and the Family here in Melbourne, and in 2007, Pope Benedict named him an Auxiliary Bishop of Melbourne. The southern region of the Archdiocese of Melbourne was entrusted to him by Archbishop Hart. Bishop Elliott is a well-known speaker and author of books and articles on a number of different topics, including theology, church history, catechetics, liturgy, marriage and family, apologetics and demography. He comes here tonight as a man who could speak on many different topics, but I ask you to give him a warm welcome as he joins us tonight to speak about the New Age and the occult.
Thank you very much, Penny. I'm glad to be here, delighted to be here, to be with such a wonderful group of people. And I'm speaking about something dreadful and spooky and fascinating. We're all interested in it, let's be honest, because part of our fallen human nature is to be fascinated by what we can't understand. Curiosity killed the Catholic, and also to be fascinated with, to use the word bluntly, evil. Because it is interesting, this topic. It's not only interesting, it's very relevant because so many thousands of our fellow Australians are caught up in the New Age movement or play around with it or on the fringe of it, move in and out of it, and they move into what's contained in the New Age movement, occultism. Now, what do we mean? The New Age movement is neither new and it's not a real age. What do I mean by that? Its wide belief range, which includes practices of all sorts, superstitions of all varieties, these things have been around for thousands of years. Any serious study of anthropology and history shows that we have been immersed as a human race in superstition, what we call superstition. But the forms keep changing, keep morphing. So we're looking at something that's not new. It's always been with us. It has nothing to do logically or directly with a historical age, an era, a definable phase of time in human history. Not at all. Some of its practitioners and promoters claim that it coincides with the so-called age of Aquarius, but the astrologers, God love them, might choose to identify this era in other ways. You can never rely on astrologers to be consistent. More aggressive New Age adherents describe it as the end of the old religion of, guess what, Christianity, and the beginning of a new universal religion of love, light and peace. And now that's presented particularly under that coverall word, tolerance. Those who remember the late 60s, which would be hardly anybody in this room, but I can, obviously, would recognise the language of the old counterculture, the music of hair, the hippie aroma of pot, the psychedelic tints of the flower power people, the Beatles when they found gurus in Carnaby Street. It was an exciting time to be young, I must say, very confusing time. As a popular movement, the New Age movement emerged in that era. And that's when we started to see the section of the bookshops that would have all the Bibles change into spiritualities. It's happened over the last 30 years, that transition. As a popular movement, the New Age movement began to gather people to it who were looking for something. Why? You can call it irrational, which is not always fair. It certainly was mystical, was trying to touch the spiritual element in every person, but it was largely a reaction to a rational, scientific, materialist, technological attitude to life that prevailed in the post-war era when I grew up, when the only ready-made religions were the secular ones that we call ideologies: National Socialism, Nazism, Fascism, and Communism in its different varieties. And people reacted to that because those ideologies tended either to be atheist or agnostic, or had a very limited understanding of God as a kind of providence. Any careful study of this complex phenomenon we call the New Age reveals that we're looking at these old superstitions. So another description of it is a revival of many pagan religious beliefs and practices, and some New Age people openly call themselves pagans. Myths, practices ranging from harmless or foolish theories and speculations right through, however, to very dangerous delusions and personally destructive practices, such as invoking spirits. I examine all this in a little booklet that I first published over 30 years ago, and I've updated since, Seances, Spirits and the New Age, and I believe copies of that are available in the front porch of St Francis Church in Lonsdale Street. Canisius Publications, Catholic Truth Society originally, and the New Age emphasis was added. It wasn't hard to do it when that became the language we started to use about seances and spirits and that kind of thing, or spiritism. One way we Christians can understand the New Age is to describe it as a return of a challenge that we faced many centuries ago. That challenge, which is the driving force behind the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, is Gnosticism. And even in the New Testament, if you read some of the books carefully, you see the first Christians colliding with pagan mystery religions, and some of those mystery religions merged with heretical groups of Christians. For example, the cult of Mary Magdalene and the cult of Judas, which is 2nd century, long time after Christ. And people who were in those groups were called generally Gnostics. They didn't mind the term.